had served in the military for 30 cycles. He had fought in 12 wars across 6 star systems. He had killed enemies that would make most species run in terror. So when High Command told him his next mission was to observe humans in combat, he felt insulted. Humans were soft. Everyone in the galaxy knew this. They had no claws, no scales, no natural armor. Their teeth were flat and useless. They could not see in the dark. They could not smell danger from a distance. They were small, weak, and they let their emotions control them. Did not understand why they needed to study such creatures. But orders were orders. So found himself on a transport ship heading to forward operating base Kestrel on the moon called 7. The base was busy when he arrived. Ships came and went. Soldiers moved equipment, but noticed something strange right away. The humans were laughing. They stood in groups and made jokes. Some of them were even playing games while they waited for deployment. This was a war zone, and they acted like they were on vacation. His opinion of humans dropped even lower. A human female approached him. She was small, barely reaching his chest. Her hair was brown and cut short. Her eyes were green and sharp. She walked like someone who had seen many battles. "You must be the observer," she said. "I am Captain Laura. Welcome to my squad." Gave a formal nod. "I am Warrior. I am here to watch and report." "Then watch close," Laura said. "We move out in 2 hours." She led him to a briefing room where 3 other humans waited. They looked up when entered. None of them seemed impressed by his size or his reputation. This bothered him more than he wanted to admit. "This is Sergeant Danny Cole," Laura said, pointing to a large human male with dark skin and a friendly smile. "Corporal Price," a thin female with pale skin and cold eyes, and Private First Class Hart, a young male who looked barely old enough to fight. "So you are the big lizard they sent to watch us," Danny said with a grin. "Do not worry, we will try to make it interesting for you." Did not respond. He simply took his position against the wall and waited. Laura activated a holographic display. It showed a research outpost about 50 kilometers from the base. 3 cycles ago, this outpost went silent. 47 researchers and 12 security personnel. No distress call. No communication, just silence. "What do we know?" asked. "Nothing confirmed. Scouts reported the structure is intact but dark. Power is down. No movement detected." Laura paused. "But there are strange ones, scattered and fragmented." Shifted in a seat. "What does fragmented mean?" "It means the readings do not make sense," Laura said. "It could be equipment damage. It could be something else. Our job is to find out." Watch the humans absorb this information. He expected fear. He expected hesitation. Instead, he saw them checking their weapons and adjusting their gear. Danny was still smiling, was cleaning her rifle scope, looked nervous, but he was loading extra ammunition into his pack. "Questions?" Laura asked. "Just one," Danny said. "Do we get dinner first? I fight better on a full stomach." The other humans laughed. Even Laura smiled slightly. Did not understand these creatures at all. 2 hours later, they were on a heading toward the outpost, sat apart from the humans, reviewing the mission data on his personal display. The information was thin. No explanation for what had happened. No theories that made sense. Danny Cole moved to sit beside him. The human was large for his species, though still smaller than. He moved with the easy confidence of an experienced soldier. "First time working with humans?" Danny asked. "Yes." "You seem tense. Relax. We are good at what we do." Looked at him. "You face unknown danger with no intelligence. You joke and laugh before combat. Your species is soft and weak compared to most in the galaxy. Why should I relax?" Danny's smile did not fade. "You are right about some of that. We are soft. We are weak. But that is exactly why we are dangerous." "That makes no sense." "It will," Danny said. "Give it time." They began its descent. Through the viewport could see the outpost below. It sat in a valley between two rocky hills. The structure was large and dark. No lights, no movement, just silence. Laura stood and addressed her team. Standard approach. Takes point with Danny and cover our flanks. I take rear position. We enter through the main door and sweep room by room. Stay tight. Stay quiet. Report everything strange. The humans nodded. They moved into position with practiced ease. Noticed they carried more equipment than he expected. Extra ammunition. Strange devices he did not recognize. Why would they need so much for a simple investigation? They landed, the door opened, cold air rushed in. Was first out, her rifle raised. Followed, his scales adjusting to the temperature. The others spread out behind them. The outpost stood silent before them. Dark windows, closed doors, nothing moved. Then scanner beeped. He looked at the display and felt his scales tighten. They were there just as the report said, but they were wrong. They flickered and jumped. They appeared and disappeared. Some of them seemed to be inside the walls. Laura moved beside him and looked at the scanner. Her expression changed. The easy confidence disappeared. Something harder took its place. Something that made instincts scream a warning. Everyone switched to Protocol 7, she said quietly. We are not alone in there. Did not know what Protocol 7 was, but the way the humans responded made his blood run cold. Their smiles vanished. Their eyes went sharp. They moved differently now, like predators. What had sent him into the door to the outpost opened with a grinding sound. The darkness inside was complete. Not even the emergency lights were working. Activated his night vision. His species could see in almost total darkness, which made him the natural choice for point position. He stepped inside first, his weapon raised. The humans followed close behind, using small lights attached to their weapons. The entrance hall was empty. Chairs were knocked over. Papers were scattered on the floor. There were marks on the walls that did not like, long scratches that went deep into the metal. What made these? He asked quietly. Examine the marks. Claws, but the pattern is wrong, too many points. No known species makes marks like this. They moved deeper into the outpost. Every room was the same. Signs of struggle, overturned furniture, more claw marks, but no bodies, no blood, no remains of any kind. Had seen many battlefields. There were always bodies, always something left behind. This emptiness was wrong in a way he could not explain. Danny touched his arm and pointed. Ahead, there was a ventilation shaft near the ceiling. The grate had been torn away. Something was moving inside. Laura raised her hand. Everyone stopped. The movement continued, scratching sounds, then a face appeared. One of the alien researchers. His eyes were wide and empty. His mouth hung open. He stared at them without seeing. Survivor whispered. They helped him down from the shaft. He was thin and shaking. His clothes were torn. He had been hiding for a long time. Laura knelt in front of him. Can you hear me? What happened here? They did not respond. He just stared at the wall behind her. His body shook like he was freezing, but the temperature was normal. Hey, Danny said gently. You are safe now. We are here to help. The eyes suddenly focused. He looked at Danny with pure terror. Then he started screaming. The shadows that think, they are inside the walls, they eat your fear, they eat everything. He grabbed Danny's arm with surprising strength. Run, run before they find you. They know we are here, they always know. Then his eyes went blank again. He slumped forward, completely unresponsive. Had never seen anything like it. There was alive, but his mind was gone. Something had broken him so completely that he could not function. What could do this? Asked. Laura's face was grim. Nothing good. They secured the survivor and kept moving. The deeper they went, the worse things became. They found a laboratory where 17 body shapes were burned into the floor, perfect outlines, as if the people had simply evaporated, leaving only shadows behind. Scanner went crazy. The readings made no sense. Temperature drops in random locations. Movement that appeared and disappeared, that seemed to exist in two places at once. Captain said, "I am picking up something strange on thermal." "Show me." Scope had a thermal display. She aimed it down a long corridor. The image showed mostly normal temperatures, but there was something at the far end, a shape. It registered as cold, not cool, cold, colder than the air around it, colder than should be possible. And it was moving toward them. "Everyone back," Laura ordered. "Defensive formation now." The humans moved with speed that surprised. They formed a tight group, weapons aimed at the corridor. Joined them, though he did not understand what they were facing. The cold shape got closer. The lights on the human weapons began to flicker. The temperature dropped so fast that could see his breath. Then he saw it. The thing that came around the corner was wrong, had no other word for it. It looked like a shadow given form. Its body shifted and changed. Sometimes it had limbs, sometimes it did not. Its face, if it could be called a face, was a hole filled with darkness. And it was looking at them. Had faced many enemies. He had never felt fear like this. It was not normal fear. This was something deeper, something that reached inside his mind and grabbed the most ancient parts of his brain, the parts that remembered being prey. He could not move. His body refused to obey. His weapon felt heavy in his hands. All he could do was stare at the creature as it glided closer. "Hollow confirmed," Laura said. Her voice was calm, too calm. "Protocol 7 is active. Engage on my mark." Hollow, the word meant nothing to, but the way Laura said it told him everything. This was something the humans had seen before, something they had prepared for. The creature moved faster. It seemed to notice fear. It turned toward him. The darkness of its face pulsed like a heartbeat. Wanted to run. He wanted to scream. He wanted to be anywhere but here. And then Laura stepped in front of him. This small, soft human woman put herself between and the nightmare. She raised her weapon. It was not a normal gun. It glowed with strange energy. Blue light pulsed along its surface. "Contact confirmed," she said calmly. "Engaging." She fired. The shot hit the hollow in its center mass. The creature made a sound that was not a sound. It was more like reality itself was screaming. The thing stumbled back. Parts of its body flickered and faded. The other humans opened fire. Each weapon fired the same strange blue energy. The hollow twisted and writhed. It tried to move through the wall, but something about the weapon stopped it. Finally found his voice. "What is that thing?" Danny answered without taking his eyes off the target. "Something that should not exist. Something that hunts by fear." He fired again. "And something we have learned to kill." The hollow retreated into the darkness. The temperature slowly returned to normal. The light stopped flickering. But knew it was not over. He could still feel the creature out there, watching, waiting. And his scanner showed more cold spots, many more, all of them moving toward the squad's position. Laura checked her weapon's charge. That was just the scout, the rest are coming. Reloaded with steady hands, Danny cracked his neck, was pale but ready. And realized he had been wrong about everything. These humans were not soft. They were not weak. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors of horrors he could not imagine, and they were just getting started. The hollow came back with others. Counted at least 6 of the creatures moving through the walls and ceiling. They flickered in and out of sight. One moment they were solid. The next moment they were shadows. The temperature dropped so low that frost formed on scales. The humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. They moved in perfect coordination. When one fired, another covered. When one reloaded, 2 others protected them. Their weapons sent blue energy into the creatures, forcing them back again and again. But the hollows were learning. One of them appeared directly behind. The young soldier had no time to react. The creature grabbed him with limbs that looked like frozen smoke, screamed, not from pain, from something worse. Saw's eyes go wide. The soldier was staring at nothing, but his face showed pure terror. He was seeing something, something only he could see. The hollow was doing something to his mind. "It is feeding," Danny shouted. "Captain is down." Laura did not hesitate. She ran toward the creature, not away, toward it. Could not believe what he was seeing. Every instinct said to run from these things. Every cell in his body screamed danger, but Laura ran straight at the nightmare. She grabbed S's arm and pulled. The hollow held tight, its darkness wrapped around both of them. Laura's eyes went blank for a moment. She was being touched by the creature's power. It was trying to feed on her too. Expected her to fall. He expected her to scream like she did neither. Laura's eyes refocused. Her jaw tightened. She pulled harder. "You do not scare me," she said through gritted teeth. "I have seen worse than you." She fired her weapon point blank into the hollow's face. The creature released and fell back, screaming that silent scream. Took the opportunity. Her rifle found the wounded hollow and finished it. The creature dissolved into nothing, leaving only cold air behind. Laura dragged to safety. The young soldier was shaking and crying. He kept saying, "I saw it," over and over, but he was alive. Danny moved to cover them while and held the other hollows at bay. The creatures seemed more careful now. They had lost one of their own. They circled at a distance, watching. "How did you do that?" asked Laura. "The creature was in your mind, I saw it. How did you resist?" Laura was breathing hard. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her voice was steady. "Because I know what fear is. I have lived with it my whole life. It is an old friend." Did not understand. Fear is weakness. It stops you from fighting. Danny laughed despite the situation. "That is what everyone thinks, but humans are different. Fear does not stop us. It tells us what matters. It shows us what we need to protect." He fired at a hollow that got too close. "We do not fight without fear. We fight because of it." The concept was alien too. Warriors were trained to suppress fear, to ignore it, to pretend it did not exist. The idea of using fear as a tool was completely foreign. "Our ancestors were prey animals," Laura said. She had recovered her composure, was stabilizing behind her. "We evolved surrounded by things that wanted to eat us. Bigger things, faster things, stronger things. We should have died out millions of years ago. But you did not." "No, we learned to be afraid and keep moving anyway. We learned to feel terror and still fight. Fear is in our blood. It is part of who we are." She checked her weapon. "These hollows feed on fear. They think that makes us weak. They are wrong." Another hollow attacked. This time it came from below, rising through the floor. It grabbed S's ankle. The soldier went down hard, her rifle sliding away. Moved without thinking. He brought his weapon down on the creature's limb. The blue energy burned it. The hollow released and turned its attention to. The fear hit him like a wave. He saw things. His childhood. The first time he almost died. The faces of soldiers he had failed to save. Every dark moment of his life played before his eyes in an instant. He fell to his knees. The hollow loomed over him, drinking his terror like water. Then a hand grabbed his shoulder. Danny Cole stood beside him, firing into the creature with his free hand. "You are not alone," Danny said. "We have got you. Keep breathing. The fear passes. Everything passes." The words cut through the darkness, forced his eyes to focus. He forced his arm to move. He fired at the hollow, then he fired again, and again. The creature retreated. Gasped for breath. His hearts were pounding. His scales were slick with sweat, but he was alive. He was still fighting. "Good," Laura said. "You understand now." The hollows had pulled back. They gathered in the darkness at the edge of sight, watching the squad with their empty faces. More of them had arrived, counted at least 12. "Why are they waiting?" asked. His voice was weak but functional. "They are calling for more," Laura said. "We hurt them. Now they want to overwhelm us." Checked her ammunition. We cannot hold this position. We need to move. Agreed, but where? Looked at his scanner. The readings were chaotic, but he could see a pattern. All the hollows were coming from one direction, deeper in the outpost. There was something there, a source. He showed Laura. They come from there. Whatever made them is in that location. Laura studied the scanner. If we find the source, we can end this. Or die trying, Danny said. Laura almost smiled. That is always the choice. She looked at her team. What do you say, retreat and hope we survive, or push forward and finish this? One by one, the humans nodded. Even, still pale and shaking, gave his agreement. Realized they were insane. They were facing an enemy that ate fear itself, and they wanted to charge deeper into its territory. It went against every tactical principle he knew. But looking at their faces, he saw something that made his objections die in his throat. He saw certainty, not arrogance, not foolishness, just absolute conviction that they would find a way, that they would protect each other, that giving up was never an option. I am with you, said. Laura nodded. Then let us show these things what true terror looks like. They pushed deeper into the outpost. The hollows followed, staying just out of range, watching, waiting for weakness. Walked in the center of the formation. The humans had put him there without asking. They were protecting him. This warrior who had looked down on them was now being guarded by creatures half his size. He should have felt shame. Instead, he felt something else, gratitude. The corridors got darker. The temperature kept dropping. Ice formed on the walls. Each breath came out as white mist. How much further? Danny asked. Checked his scanner. Close. The readings are strongest just ahead. They reached a large door. It was sealed shut and covered in frost. Strange symbols had been carved into the metal. Did not recognize the language. This is it, Laura said. Whatever is on the other side is the source. Examine the door controls. I can get it open, but once we go in, we might not come out. We never come out the same anyway, said quietly. At least we will know what we are fighting. Laura put her hand on his shoulder. You are braver than you know. Danny rigged the door while the others covered him. The hollows were getting bolder. They darted closer, testing the squad's reactions. Each attack was faster than the last. Ready, Danny said. The door opened with a rush of cold air. The room beyond was massive. It had been the outpost's main research chamber. Now it was something else. In the center of the room was a tear in space itself, a rift. It looked like a wound in reality. Darkness poured from it like smoke, and around the rift dozens of hollows waited. They turned toward the door as the squad entered. There are too many, said. His scanner could not even count them all. Then we better not miss, replied. The fight began immediately. Hollows came from every direction. The humans fought back to back, creating a small island of light in the sea of darkness. Joined them, his weapon firing until it nearly overheated. But for every hollow they killed, two more emerged from the rift. The tear was creating them, feeding them. As long as it existed, the creatures would keep coming. We need to close that rift, Laura shouted. Danny pulled something from his pack, an explosive, recognized the type, high yield, enough to destroy the entire chamber. If we collapse this room, we collapse the rift, Danny said. Can you set a timer? Laura asked. Maybe. The technology in here is messing with electronics. I might have to do it manually. Manually meant someone would have to stay behind. Someone would have to die. Understood immediately. He looked at the humans around him, these people who had protected him, who had taught him what courage really meant. He could not let any of them make that sacrifice. I will do it, said. Give me the explosive, get your team out. Laura's eyes met his. No. I am one soldier. You are a unit, a family. My people sent me here to observe. Let my final observation be this: humans are worth dying for. Danny stopped fighting long enough to respond. That is the thing I have ever heard, and I have heard jokes. Hey, protested while shooting a hollow. We do not leave people behind, Laura said firmly. Not even stubborn lizards who finally figured out how things work. Took a hit, a hollow caught her leg with its claws. She went down with a cry of pain. Blood soaked through her uniform. Moved to protect her. Danny provided covering fire. Laura pulled back while held the line alone for several seconds. They regrouped near the door. Was hurt badly. She could barely stand. Danny was running low on ammunition. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely reload. But none of them talked about giving up. None of them mentioned retreat. Danny worked on the explosive with one hand while firing with the other. I think I can rig a timer. 90 seconds. Maybe. Maybe is good enough, Laura said. Do it. The hollows sensed what was happening. They attacked with new fury. The creatures threw themselves at the squad in waves. The air filled with blue light and silent screams. Found himself fighting beside Danny. The big human moved like a machine, efficient, deadly, but also protecting, always protecting. He put himself between danger and his wounded team without thinking about it. Why, asked between shots, why do you fight so hard for each other? Danny grinned despite the chaos. Because they would do the same for me, because that is what family does. Family had a family back home, but he had never felt this kind of bond with them, the respected strength and success. They did not throw themselves into danger for each other. They did not sacrifice without calculation. Humans were different. Humans were crazy. Humans were wonderful. The timer was set. Danny held up the explosive. 90 seconds starting now. Laura grabbed and started moving toward the door, and Danny followed, provided rear guard, firing at every hollow that got close. They reached the corridor. Behind them, hollows poured out of the chamber, desperate to stop them. Move, 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 Laura shouted. Had never run so fast in his life. His legs burned, his lungs screamed, but he kept going, because the humans kept going, because giving up was not an option. They burst out of the outpost into the cold night air. There was 50 meters away. The pilot saw them coming and started the engines. 30 seconds left. A hollow appeared in front of them. It grabbed and pulled him back toward the outpost. Laura did not even hesitate. She handed to Danny and ran after. Captain, Danny shouted. But she was already gone, disappearing back into the darkness. 20 seconds. Made a choice, he ran after her. He found them in the entrance hall. Laura was fighting the hollow with her bare hands. Her weapon was empty, was on the ground, dazed but alive. Grabbed and threw him toward the door. Then he turned and fired his last shots into the hollow. The creature shrieked and released Laura. 10 seconds. They ran, grabbed Laura's arm and pulled her along. The door was right there. There was waiting. 5 seconds. They dove through the door. The outpost exploded behind them. The shockwave threw them forward. Heat washed over scales. The sound was deafening. Then silence. Lay on the ground, gasping for breath. Every part of his body hurt, but he was alive. He turned his head. Laura was beside him, dirty, bloody, smiling. Good catch, she said. Behind them, the outpost burned. The rift was gone. The hollows were gone. They had won. The ride back to base was quiet. Slept with her leg wrapped in bandages. Stared at nothing, processing what he had seen. Danny cleaned his weapon with steady hands. Laura flew the ship herself after the pilot gave her the controls. Sat alone and thought about everything that had happened. He had come to observe humans, to report on their weaknesses, to confirm what they already believed about these soft, emotional creatures. Now he did not know what to write. They landed at Forward Operating Base Kestrel as the sun rose over the hills. Medical teams rushed to meet them, was taken to surgery immediately, was sent for psychological evaluation. Danny refused treatment until he made sure everyone else was cared for first. Laura stood by and watched her team being taken away. Her face showed exhaustion but also pride. She had brought them home, all of them. Approached her, "Captain." She turned. "Warrior, how are you holding up?" "I am processing." Laura almost smiled. "That is fair, it was a lot." They stood in silence for a moment. Around them the base continued its routine. Other soldiers trained. Other ships departed. The war went on, but felt like he had changed in ways he could not explain. "I must submit my report to High Command," he said finally. "I know. What are you going to tell them?" Considered the question carefully. "I do not know yet. The truth, I suppose, but I am not sure what the truth is anymore." Laura nodded. "Truth is complicated, especially when it comes to humans." She left to check on her team, found a quiet room and began to write. His report took 3 days to complete. He wrote about the mission objectives. He wrote about the hollows and the rift. He wrote about the tactical decisions and the combat effectiveness of human weapons. He included all the facts that High Command wanted. But he also wrote other things. He wrote about Laura running toward a monster to save her soldier. He wrote about Danny Cole teaching a warrior how to breathe through fear. He wrote about Price continuing to fight with a wound that would have stopped most species. He wrote about Hart taking point position because he was the most scared and wanted to protect the others from what he feared. He wrote about humans. "In my 30 cycles of military service, I have never encountered a species like this," his report concluded. "Humans are physically inferior to most galactic races. They have no natural weapons. They have no armor. They have short lives and fragile bodies. By every measure, they should be prey. But they are not prey. They are something else entirely. Humans have weaponized their weaknesses. Their fear makes them careful. Their emotions make them bond. Their awareness of death makes them fight harder than anyone else because they have more to lose." The Hollows were ancient creatures that fed on terror. They had destroyed civilizations. They had hunted species to extinction, and a squad of 5 humans walked into their nest and burned it to the ground. High Command asked me to assess human military capabilities. My assessment is this: do not fight them. Do not threaten what they love. Do not underestimate them because they seem soft. Because when humans are pushed, when their people are in danger, when they have nothing left to lose, they become something terrible. They become the thing that monsters fear. I recommend immediate alliance, full cooperation. Whatever they ask for, give it to them, because the alternative is having them as enemies, and that is not a war that can win. Submitted his report and waited. 3 weeks later, he received orders. He was to return to space immediately. High Command wanted a personal briefing. He went to say goodbye to the humans first. Danny was in the medical wing visiting. Her leg was healing well. The doctors said she would fight again within 2 months. Was there too, looking better than before. Therapy was helping. "The big lizard returns," Danny said with a grin. "We thought you forgot about us." "I could never forget," said. "I came to say goodbye. My people want me home." Looked up from her bed. "Goodbye sounds permanent." "It is not. I have requested a transfer." The humans exchanged glances. Danny raised an eyebrow. "Transfer to what?" "To here, to Human Command. To your squad specifically, if Captain will have me." Laura appeared in the doorway. She had been listening. "You want to stay with us?" "Yes." "Why?" Thought about how to explain it. He thought about the fear and the fighting. The way Danny had grabbed his shoulder and told him to keep breathing. The way Laura had stepped in front of him to face a nightmare. The way he had walked into terror because he wanted to protect others from what he felt. "Because I learned something on that mission," said. "I learned that being strong is not about having claws or scales or size. It is about standing with others when everything is against you. It is about being afraid and fighting anyway." He looked at each of them in turn. "I have served with many warriors, but I have never served with people like you. I do not want to go back to what I was before. I want to be better. I want to be like you." Danny laughed and slapped on the back hard enough to sting. "Well, look at that. We adopted a lizard." Smiled from her bed. "Welcome to the family." Offered his hand in the human gesture of friendship. Took it carefully, aware of his own strength. Laura walked forward until she stood in front of him. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. A patch, the symbol of her unit. "This means you are one of us," she said. "It means we fight for you and you fight for us. It means you never walk alone again." Took the patch. It was small in his large hand, just a piece of fabric with a simple design, but it meant more to him than any medal or honor he had ever received. "Thank you," he said. "Do not thank us yet," Danny warned. "Wait until you see what we are having for dinner. Human food is weird." The others laughed, found himself making a sound that might have been laughter too. Later, when other asked him about his time with humans, always said the same thing. "They are terrifying," he would tell them. "They are small and soft and afraid of everything, but they take that fear and turn it into fire. They take their weakness and make it strength. They take a stranger and make him family. I have seen true terror. It is not monsters or death or darkness. True terror is standing against a human who has something to protect. And I have never been prouder to fight beside them." 6 months later was promoted to permanent liaison between and human forces. Danny taught him to play cards, taught him to shoot with a scope, taught him human jokes that never made sense. Laura taught him that leadership was about service, not command. He was still the largest person in the squad. He was still the strongest. But he finally understood that those things did not matter. What mattered was the people beside him. What mattered was the fear they shared and conquered together. What mattered was the family they had built from fire and darkness and hope. What mattered was being human. Even if he was a